Bigwood is an example of a ton of different things, like the birds and the fish and the water and the rocks, all working together to make an ecosystem, we call it. But if you guys had to pick, what do you think the most important thing for the Bigwood is? There we go, the water. Do you guys know where the water comes from? The mountains, kind of, but I'm looking for a little different answer. The snow, there we go.
In simplest terms, the Bigwood River water is a snowmelt dominated system. All the climate models and hydrologic basin studies indicate that we're going to have warmer temperatures in the Bigwood Basin. You're going to have less snowpack. You're going to have more precipitation that falls as rain instead of snow. Those warmer temperatures are going to push the runoff earlier in the season. And so what that's going to lead to is lower water in the rivers, in the streams, lower groundwater levels. Having less snowpack is a real issue because that is essentially the storage reservoir for the Bigwood Basin. And when we don't get that here, it leads to a whole host of issues.
What's going on, everybody? Cooper Morton here. We're at the top of Bald Mountain for Sun Valley's closing day. As all the snow that we've played on all year melts and goes down into the river, we're going to talk to people about the Bigwood. We have Lauren Bergeau. Lauren, what does the river do?
What does it do? I feel like I should have a smart answer for this. It is a home for the fish. Is that the right answer?
A home for the fish. That's a great answer.
Fish's habitat.
Water.
And what is the bug's habitat?
Sky.
Up in the air. And do some bugs live in the water?
Yeah.
And where else do bugs live?
Bugs live up in the sky.
They do. And where do the birds live?
Birds live sky.
In the nests, in the trees? So when you look out here, what do you think a river's habitat is? Is it just the water or is it everything?
Everything.
Everything, that's right.
This is the spot. What we're standing in right now, when I was younger, was the main stem of the river. And what we're looking at, the main stem of the river now, was the side channel. And that's a good example of how we want these rivers to act. We want these rivers to have room to be able to spread out over the landscape. This does a few things for us. It inundates all this organic material we see sitting on the bank and brings that into the river. And a large portion of our macroinvertebrates that our fish eat, that our birds eat, feed off that decaying material. And so it essentially provides the food for the base of the food chain within the whole ecosystem. Another one of the most important things about having a river connected to its floodplain and allowing it to disperse across the landscape during high water events is that it creates a great diversity of habitat. Not every life stage of a trout is going to want to live in like the heaviest flow main stem of the river. The side channels that develop during high water oftentimes are crucial for smaller fish. They also can be super valuable places for fish to spawn. And another incredibly important thing about having rivers connected to their floodplain is it allows the water to be utilized across the landscape much more efficiently than when they're channelized and the water just passes through, right? And it's already in magic before any of these cottonwoods have got a taste of it. While we want high water and we want more water in the landscape, when there's not more water, what can we do to combat that? And one of the main things is being sure that this ecosystem is connected to the floodplain as best we can and that it's in a position to utilize the water that it's going to get in the most efficient way as possible. Okay, so if I could get your guys' attention up here for a little bit. The reason that we like to look at these bugs is that these bugs are an indicator species. And from the amount of bugs and the type of bugs living in the Bigwood, we can tell how healthy it is.
See what comes out. One of the cool things about macroinvertebrates is that each different group has a different level of tolerance to environmental change, pollution, water quality. And that means that we can use these macroinvertebrates as indicators of environmental change and ecosystem integrity. So that's really why our sensitive aquatic insects, particularly most kinds of stoneflies, which tend to be the most sensitive, are really the canaries in the coal mine, or canary in the current that we like to say. The disappearance of those really sensitive bugs is an indication that things are changing and potentially that worse things will follow. It's an important signal for us as stewards and ecologists need to pay attention to, so we can preserve the long-term health, integrity, and function of the river. Unfortunately, quantifying just how much aquatic insects have or maybe have not changed over time is really challenging, because in a lot of rivers, including the Bigwood, we don't have a lot of information scientifically on how abundant these bugs or hatches were historically. And without that historical data, it's quite challenging to easily do some kind of comparison and document how much things have changed. So really it behooves us, for us and other groups, to perform aquatic insect monitoring now, where we go to many sites on the main stem of the Bigwood as well as some of the important tributaries, and at least that allows us, going into the future, will allow us to track the abundance, the diversity of those bugs, and track those early warning signals if some species are declining faster than others, so we can understand why and then better manage, better restore the river to help preserve those species. The aquatic insects aren't just important for their own right. Of course, they feed the trout that we like to catch, and they are the only reason why trout can be in the river. They are the core of the food web. We can't have our trout without the bugs that feed them.
Could you show with your hands the largest fish you've ever caught on the Bigwood?
Oh, dude. It was like this big, I tell you. Yeah. I didn't get any photos. Yeah.
This big. Cool.
Can I swear on this?
Yeah, you totally can. You can
Where
do
is
whatever
this
you want.
going?
Yeah, it was about this big and the tail went whap, whap, whap.
Perfect.
Oh, fish on. He's hot. Dive. Don't dive.
One conversation that we always come back to is the health of the fishery is dictated by the size of the fish, but I think we really need to start thinking about the health of the fishery as the type of habitat that we're fostering and helping to create resilience and a balanced ecosystem. I do think that we tend to get one age class, which is kind of that 2 to 4 year old range, and we don't get a lot of big fish. So one opinion could be that we have too many mouths to feed within the Bigwood River system. But I think if that were true, why are we still continuing to stock the Bigwood River for take? We know that those stocked fish are overwintering and taking up resources for our native populations. I think anytime that we can reduce that incidental loss throughout the system, up and down, and keep it as connected as possible to magic will increase our fish size, because they have refuge from low water during the winter months and high hot summer sun during the summer months. One project that has been at the heart of Project Bigwood since we began was trying to get fish screens on our largest diversions within the ecosystem. This is really to reduce that incidental loss and get our populations back in the main channel of the river and within our tributaries. By implementing fish screens, we can help bring the Bigwood back to equilibrium. If you can manage the Bigwood River from a habitat standpoint for resilience and a healthy ecosystem, then a byproduct of that should be big fish.
Morning, everyone. Remember that every piece we make is one part of the ecosystem of the river. So we want to make all the pieces that come together to make the river healthy.
The first thing is collaboration. Community needs to come together to determine what are the goals and how can we as a community help build that resilience in the river. And so coming together and having discussions that are informed discussions about what is the reality of the Bigwood River Basin right now and what are the opportunities and constraints. I would say over the last 10 years, I've seen those discussions really improve. We know so much more about the river system now, and it does take time. There is no magic wand, there's no switch. In particular in this river basin, there's gonna be a lot of things to overcome, but I think there's a lot of opportunities here as well. So what Project Bigwood is doing really helps elevate that discussion and the understanding of the system. And it's these programs that actually lead to river basins improving through time.